The room is charged with tension. Cameras zoom in, flashing across the faces of lawmakers, journalists, and the rapt audience as the clock ticks down. The atmosphere is thick, almost suffocating, with the weight of what's about to unfold. And then, like a hammer striking an anvil, the voice of Bill Barr cuts through the silence. "You're lying, Congresswoman Crockett," he says, his tone cold, controlled. "And you know it." The accusation lands like a grenade, an explosion in the heart of the hearing. A murmur ripples through the room. Barr, with his years of political experience, stands firm, his eyes piercing as he locks onto Crockett. His smirk, barely concealed, betrays a man used to having the upper hand. But Crockett, unshaken, unfazed, doesn't flinch. She's a force in this room, a calm resolve in the storm. The cameras shift to her, and for a moment, the world watches her every move, holding its breath. She leans forward, her voice steady, even measured. "Mr. Barr," she begins, her words deliberate, "I'll let the evidence speak for itself." The room goes eerily quiet, a thick hush that seems to swallow every breath. The air feels heavy, charged with something more than just words. "Evidence?" Barr scoffs, a thin veil of arrogance creeping into his voice. "What evidence could you possibly have that could challenge the truth I've laid out?" Crockett's eyes narrow, her gaze unwavering. "You'll see soon enough." She pauses, letting her words hang in the air like a dare. The truth always finds its way to the surface. It's just a matter of when. And with that, the silence deepens. The tension in the room escalates, each passing second heavier than the last. But the room isn't prepared for what happens next. Crockett slowly stands, her back straight, her expression calm but unwavering. She taps the microphone lightly, a small but deliberate movement, and then, in a voice that echoes across the chamber, she says, "What I have will change the course of this entire hearing, and it will change the course of history." The audience leans in. The camera cuts to Barr. His smug expression falters, just for a moment. The stage is set. The battle has begun. The atmosphere in the room has shifted. It's no longer just a hearing. It's a high-stakes battle, a war of words and power. Bill Barr, who once held the highest office in the land, is no longer the calm, calculated figure he was moments ago. His facade is cracking, the veneer of invincibility slipping away. The world is watching, and they can see it. Jasmine Crockett's calm demeanor only intensifies the pressure. The accusation has already been made. The villain, Barr, stands exposed, and the hero, Crockett, is about to deliver the final blow. But for now, all eyes are on the screen, both those in the room and those at home. The political scandal that has rocked the nation is unfolding in real time. The hearing is centered around a massive corruption case, one that involves several high-ranking government officials, including Barr himself. The public is torn, the trust in the system eroded, and what was once a quiet, looming scandal is now front and center, with the world's media hanging on every word. But what makes this moment even more crucial is the fact that Barr's involvement in this scandal has long been rumored, but never proven. His reputation is on the line. And Crockett? She's no stranger to the pressures of this world. She's built her career on calling out corruption, fighting for justice, and standing firm in the face of systemic injustice. And now, she's faced with the man who personifies everything she spent her life fighting against. The weight of the moment isn't lost on her. As she sits back, taking a breath, her mind races through everything that has led to this confrontation. The late nights, the sacrifices, the countless hours spent poring over documents. All the pieces of the puzzle have come together, and now, in this one moment, she has the chance to bring the truth to light. "America deserves to know the truth," Crockett finally says, her voice steady, but carrying the unmistakable weight of resolve. The room, once bustling with murmurs, falls into silence once again. Her words echo across the chamber, sinking into the hearts of everyone listening. The truth is at stake here, but so much more is on the line. The integrity of the justice system, the credibility of the highest offices in the land, and the future of American democracy itself. "If you think this will go away, Mr. Barr," Crockett continues, her eyes never leaving his, "you're sorely mistaken." She pauses for effect, The truth doesn't hide for long, and when it's exposed, there's no turning back. The moment is electric. All eyes are on Barr, waiting for his response. But instead of rising to the occasion, his composure slips further, his calculated smirk faltering as he realizes the gravity of what's coming. The battle is on. The stakes have never been higher. And the truth, it's coming for him. Bill Barr had always been a man of power, a man who believed in the system, in order, in control. From his early days as a law school graduate, Barr was driven by a singular goal: to climb the political ladder and ensure that the laws of the land worked in favor of those at the top. He wasn't just another lawyer. He was a man of influence, a man who moved behind the curtains of Washington with ease, shaping the political landscape with every step. His first tenure as Attorney General in the 1990s was marked by loyalty to the status quo. Barr had always been a loyalist, first to President George H.W. Bush, then to the entire establishment. In a world where most politicians were driven by ego, Barr was driven by his belief in the system, a system he knew how to manipulate. He positioned himself as the authority on justice, the man who would do whatever it took to preserve the integrity of the law. But the truth was, his brand of justice was not the justice of the people. It was the justice of those in power. Fast forward to his second appointment as Attorney General under President Donald Trump. Barr was more than just an enforcer of the law. He was the shield for a president who had come under investigation for a series of scandals. Barr's role wasn't just to maintain the law, it was to protect the man who had put him in power. His tenure would go down in history as one of the most controversial, a period marked by his blatant manipulation of the Department of Justice to protect the president and his allies. Barr's rise to power was fueled by his ability to stay calm, controlled, always playing the long game. He wasn't the kind of person who would let emotions cloud his judgment. He was pragmatic, calculating, a man who knew exactly how to read the room. But the deeper he went, the further his morals slipped away. His protection of Trump's interests, even when it contradicted the law, became a defining trait of his career. People began to see him not as a man of justice, but as a man willing to bend the law to serve his own ambitions. In every speech, in every moment of media attention, Barr projected an image of authority. He was the man who knew what was best for the country. He wore his confidence like a suit of armor, a shield against the criticisms that surrounded him. But beneath the surface, cracks began to form. Behind closed doors, Barr was not the man he portrayed to the public. His decision to cover up investigations, to silence whistleblowers, to undermine the very people trying to expose the truth, these actions were the hallmark of his tenure. He became the embodiment of the establishment, a symbol of everything that was wrong with a system designed to protect the few at the expense of the many. And now, here he was, in front of Congress, trying to maintain that image. But the truth had begun to seep through the cracks, and as he stood there, facing Jasmine Crockett, the very system he had once mastered seemed to be unraveling around him. The walls were closing in, and Barr was no longer the man in control. He had always believed that he could control the narrative, that he could bury the truth. But now, the truth was coming for him, and it wasn't going to be silenced. Jasmine Crockett wasn't just another Congresswoman. She was a force, and Barr had underestimated the power of what she was about to expose. The very things Barr had spent his career protecting, the lies, the manipulation, the cover-ups, were all about to come to light. And this time, there would be no escape. Jasmine Crockett was no stranger to adversity. Born into a family that had fought for every scrap of their dignity, she had seen firsthand the weight of systemic injustice. Growing up in Dallas, Texas, she witnessed the very real consequences of a political system that was more interested in preserving its own power than in serving the people. It was a lesson she learned early. The truth wasn't always loud, and justice didn't always find its way to those who needed it most. Her mother, a teacher, and her father, a small business owner, both instilled in her a sense of right and wrong that would become the cornerstone of her entire career. They taught her that the system wasn't broken because people didn't try hard enough. It was broken because the people in charge didn't want it fixed. That understanding of power, its manipulation and its abuse, would become the lens through which Crockett saw the world. As a young woman, Crockett faced challenges many of her peers couldn't even imagine. She was an immigrant's daughter, someone who wasn't born into wealth or influence, but into a system that viewed her as an outsider. From an early age, she saw the quiet suffering that came with the color of her skin, the accents in her community, the stories of people who had been overlooked or left behind. But instead of becoming a victim of her circumstances, Crockett channeled her anger into something else: determination. She vowed to fight for the voiceless, to be the one to stand up for the people who had no one else to turn to. Her journey to law school wasn't easy. It was marked by late nights, underfunded scholarships, and a relentless desire to prove herself. Crockett was a force of nature in the classroom, a student who asked the hard questions, who challenged her professors, and who saw the law not just as a set of rules, but as a weapon for change. Her passion for justice burned so brightly that it became contagious. She quickly made a name for herself as a fierce advocate for the disenfranchised, someone who saw every case as a battle for something greater than a mere verdict. For her, it was always about the people. After law school, Crockett went on to work for one of the most prestigious civil rights firms in the country. It wasn't long before she realized that the fight wasn't just about courtroom victories. It was about exposing the corruption that festered in the system, the institutions that were supposed to serve the people, but instead served the powerful. And so, she made a decision that would change the course of her life. She ran for Congress. Her campaign was nothing short of a revolution. She wasn't some polished political candidate with decades of experience. She was a product of the very system she sought to dismantle, someone who knew the cost of injustice because she had lived it. Her platform was simple: transparency, accountability, and justice for all, not just the wealthy and the connected. Her rise to political prominence was swift, and it wasn't without its challenges. Every step she took was met with resistance from the establishment, from those who saw her as a threat to their carefully built empire. But Crockett was relentless. She was driven by something more powerful than ambition. She was driven by a deep sense of duty to her community, to her family, and to the countless people who had been left behind by the system. She didn't just speak of change, she embodied it. Every word she said was backed by action. Every promise made was kept with fierce determination. And now, here she was, standing in front of Bill Barr, the very embodiment of everything she had spent her career fighting against. The man who had used his power to shield the corrupt and protect the powerful was now facing the woman who had dedicated her life to exposing the truth. Barr had underestimated her, and this was the moment when he would finally understand the power of someone who had nothing left to lose except their integrity. For Jasmine Crockett, this wasn't just about politics. It wasn't just about one man or one scandal. This was about a fight that had been going on for centuries, a fight between the forces of corruption and those who still believed in the possibility of change. And today, she was going to make sure that fight was won. The room grows even heavier, as if the walls themselves are closing in. The tension is almost palpable, thick enough to be sliced. Bill Barr, standing tall in his suit, faces Jasmine Crockett with a glare that could melt steel. His earlier confidence has begun to falter, but he won't let the cracks show. Not yet. He leans into the microphone, his voice dripping with disdain as he addresses her. "Congresswoman," Barr begins, his tone icy, "you stand here making accusations without a shred of proof. You think you can just tarnish my reputation with wild claims? You think this hearing is just a platform for your personal vendetta?" His words are sharp, aimed at her like daggers, designed to intimidate, to break her composure. The crowd shifts uncomfortably, murmurs buzzing in the background, but Crockett remains steady. Her gaze never wavers from Barr's face, and her silence becomes its own statement. The arrogance in his voice, the way he dismisses her so effortlessly, it only strengthens her resolve. "You have no idea what you're talking about," Barr continues, emboldened by her silence. "You're out of your depth, Congresswoman. These are serious matters, not the playground of your political theater." His words drip with contempt, meant to belittle her, to paint her as naive, inexperienced. He's trying to diminish her in front of the world. But Crockett, unwavering, finally speaks. "This isn't a game, Mr. Barr," she says, her voice calm but firm, carrying the weight of her truth. "It's about justice, something you seem to have forgotten in your pursuit of power. You think I'm here to play politics? You're mistaken. I'm here to expose the truth." A sharp gasp ripples through the room, but Barr only smirks, clearly underestimating her. Oh? And how exactly do you plan on doing that? He leans back. In his chair, a smug smile creeping across his face, the smirk of a man who's convinced he's untouchable. He knows the system. He knows the tricks. He's played this game before, and every time, he's come out on top. But Crockett doesn't flinch. Her words cut through the air like a blade. I don't need tricks, Mr. Barr. I have something far more powerful. The truth. Something you clearly know nothing about. For a moment, the room falls into a tense silence. Even the air feels still, the anticipation so thick you can almost taste it. Barr's face flickers, the tiniest crack appearing in his mask of invincibility. He's used to being the one who holds the power, the one who dominates the conversation. But Crockett isn't backing down, and she's not going to let him control the narrative. "You're all talk!" he snaps, trying to regain his composure, but the seeds of doubt are already planted. "You don't have what it takes to bring me down. You're just a distraction." Crockett stands tall, her eyes steady, her voice unwavering. "You'd be surprised, Mr. Barr. The truth always has a way of finding its way to the surface, no matter how hard you try to bury it." The tension is unbearable now, like an invisible storm building in the room. The audience is on the edge of their seats, knowing that something monumental is about to unfold. Barr, the supposed man of law and order, is visibly rattled. His mask of arrogance is slipping. And as he prepares to respond, Crockett leans in, her voice quieter now, but full of deadly conviction. "You'll see," she says, "the truth is coming for you, and no amount of lying will stop it." The moment is electric. The audience holds its breath, waiting, and Bill Barr, for the first time in a long time, isn't sure if he can control the outcome. The tension in the room is suffocating. For a long moment, no one speaks. The air itself seems to hum with expectation. Bill Barr stands at the center of it all, his once imposing presence now faltering. His eyes dart around the room, but he knows what's coming. His confident exterior has cracked, and he knows it. The silence is deafening. Crockett, standing tall, lets the moment hang in the air. She doesn't rush. She doesn't need to. She knows exactly what's at stake. Her hands are steady as she reaches into her folder, the weight of the moment pressing on her shoulders. She doesn't just have a rebuttal. She has something far more powerful. A single piece of paper slides onto the table in front of her. A hush sweeps across the room. Everyone leans forward, eyes glued to Crockett as she slowly places the document where Barr can see it, but he doesn't take it just yet. She doesn't speak for a beat. The room is thick with anticipation. Then, she looks Barr dead in the eye, her voice cutting through the silence like a blade. "This," she says, her words steady, clear, and deliberate, "is the proof you've been running from. The truth that you've tried so desperately to suppress." She taps the document once. "This is your undoing." Barr freezes. For a moment, his breath catches in his throat. His body shifts ever so slightly, betraying the wave of panic that rises from deep within him. His fingers twitch, but he doesn't reach for the paper. Instead, he stares at it, as if hoping it will vanish, as if hoping this moment will pass. The room, once buzzing with whispers, is now dead silent. Even the reporters' cameras feel like they've stopped recording. All eyes are fixed on Barr, waiting for the man who had been so sure of his invincibility to make his next move. Barr straightens up, trying to regain control of his composure, but the slightest tremor in his voice betrays him. "I have no idea what that is, Congresswoman," he says, forcing a scoff, though his eyes betray his anxiety. "Another one of your wild accusations. This is nothing but a desperate attempt to discredit me." Crockett remains unmoved, her eyes still locked on his. "It's not an accusation, Mr. Barr. It's the truth. The truth you've buried. The truth you've hidden from the American people." She pauses, allowing her words to sink in. "This document," she says slowly, almost theatrically, "is proof that you directly coordinated with members of the administration to obstruct investigations into corruption. It's not a theory. It's not speculation. It's fact." The words hang in the air like a bombshell. For a moment, Barr's arrogance gives way to fear. His face pales slightly, his lips twitch, but he remains seated, his body rigid with resistance. He opens his mouth to respond, but his words die in his throat. There's nothing he can say that will undo what's just been revealed. Crockett flips through the file with precision, selecting the key pages and slides them across the table. She looks up at the room and then back at Barr. Her voice is measured, calm, and unyielding. "Here, You can see for yourself. Your emails, your meetings, everything. All documented, all in black and white. You thought you could bury the truth, but you didn't count on me. The camera flashes are almost blinding as reporters scramble to capture every moment, every nuance. The room is alive now, pulsing with energy. The truth is out. Barr's fortress is crumbling, and there's no escape. Barr doesn't reach for the document. He can't. It's as if the paper itself is burning his fingers. Instead, he forces a smile, but it's a hollow gesture. He knows it's over. He's been exposed. The man who once held the keys to the Justice Department is now standing before the nation as a liar, a manipulator, and possibly something worse. But it's Crockett who has the power now. She watches him carefully, knowing that this moment, this revelation, is the beginning of the end for Barr. The evidence speaks for itself, she says quietly. You wanted to be the hero, but in the end, you're just another villain. And now, America knows it. The silence is deafening, and for Bill Barr it feels as though the walls are closing in, one crushing inch at a time. The room is in chaos. Whispers ripple through the chamber, and the sound of cameras clicking fills the air like rapid gunfire. Bill Barr sits motionless, his face now a shade of crimson as the truth sinks in. His once solid grip on the narrative, the power he so carefully cultivated, is slipping from his fingers. The document Crockett presented is a bombshell, irrefutable, undeniable. It has shattered his carefully constructed world. Outside the hearing room, the news spreads like wildfire. Social media explodes. The hashtag #BarExposed trends within minutes, with thousands of tweets flooding in. Commentators, pundits, and celebrities alike react in real time, offering their opinions, their outrage, their support for Crockett. The country has never seen anything like it. On Twitter, influential voices like journalist Rachel Maddow share Crockett's victory, calling it a watershed moment in American politics. Celebrities chime in, offering their admiration for Crockett's courage. The truth has a way of finding the light, one tweet reads, accompanied by a video of Crockett's powerful statement. This is why we need more leaders like Jasmine. The news outlets, who were once silent on the scandal, now find themselves in a frenzy. Breaking news scrolls across screens nationwide. Bill Barr, former Attorney General, exposed in corruption scandal. Crockett drops evidence that could end his political career. In Washington, the political elite are scrambling. The phone lines buzz with emergency calls. Senior Republicans, once loyal to Barr, are in damage control mode. Their carefully crafted narrative of Barr's innocence crumbles, and they know it. A key member of Congress is seen walking out of a meeting, speaking into his phone, urgently asking for legal counsel. Barr's allies are suddenly fewer in number and his defenders are gone, or too embarrassed to speak up. In contrast, Jasmine Crockett is now a household name. Her name spreads across every major headline, and her victory is seen as a beacon of hope for progressive voters. The hearing, once just another political event, has transformed into a symbol of resistance. The underdog has won, and America is watching, captivated by this new wave of leadership. But the true impact is felt on the streets, in the living rooms of millions of Americans. Ordinary citizens, long ignored and disillusioned by the political system, now have someone to rally behind. Jasmine Crockett isn't just a politician, one tweet declares. She's the voice of the people. This is the revolution we've been waiting for. And yet, while the country erupts in celebration, Bill Barr is left to pick up the pieces of his shattered reputation. His once sturdy foundation is in ruins, and he is forced to confront the consequences of his actions. For the first time, he finds himself on the other side of the law, unable to deny the truth that's been laid bare before him. Inside his private office, Barr sits in silence, his head in his hands. The weight of what has just transpired is unbearable. He knows that his political career is over, and with it, his influence. He is no longer the powerful figure he once was. He is now a symbol of corruption, a man whose lies have been exposed for all the world to see. Meanwhile, Jasmine Crockett steps out of the hearing room, her composure unshaken. She walks through the halls of Congress, her head held high. The cameras flash around her, but she doesn't look back. She doesn't need to. She knows the battle isn't over. The truth has won today, but the fight for justice is ongoing. Her phone is buzzing with messages of support, but Crockett's focus remains steadfast. This moment is hers, but it's not about her. It's about the people who have fought for so long to see their voices heard, and today they were finally victorious. As she steps outside into the sunlight, the weight of the moment begins to settle in. The truth has been exposed, but the real work, the hard work, is only just beginning, and Jasmine Crockett is ready. The room that once trembled with tension now feels like a distant memory. For Jasmine Crockett, the victory isn't in the applause, the headlines, or even the vindication of her efforts. It's in something far deeper, the knowledge that the truth, no matter how long it takes, will always find its way to the surface. And today, the truth won. As she steps out of the Capitol building, Crockett breathes in the cool air, feeling the weight of the moment press against her chest. The world is watching, but this moment, this victory, is for the people. It's for the ones who have been ignored, the ones who have been lied to, the ones who have been forgotten by a system that was never meant to serve them. It's for every immigrant, every working-class family, every voice that's been silenced. Her phone buzzes with messages of support, some from colleagues, some from strangers. But it's the one from her mother that stops her in her tracks. It simply reads, "I'm so proud of you." The words hit harder than any applause could. Her mother had taught her the value of justice, of standing up for what's right, no matter the cost. Today, she had proven those lessons to be true. But as the weight of her mother's words settles in, Crockett knows the road ahead isn't paved with accolades. She's only just begun. The system that she's been fighting against doesn't crumble with one victory. It fights back, harder and more viciously than ever, and she's ready for it. Her mind races, the long-term goal ever present. This wasn't just about bringing down one man. This wasn't just about exposing one corrupt politician. This was about dismantling a system that has long protected the powerful at the expense of the powerless. This was about creating a new kind of America, one that values integrity over power, truth over deception. "I'm not done yet," she murmurs to herself, the words quiet but resolute. The journey is far from over, and she knows the hardest battles are still ahead. But today, she stands victorious. Today, the people have won. As Crockett looks ahead, she knows that her story isn't just her own. It's a story that belongs to every American who has ever been let down by the system. The victory isn't just for her, it's for the country, for the countless voices that have gone unheard for too long, for the people who still believe in the promise of democracy, in the power of truth, in the possibility of real change. The wind picks up, and Crockett looks out over the Capitol grounds, her eyes focused, unwavering. She can hear the echoes of the past reverberating in the present, the stories of those who have fought for justice before her. They did not live to see the victory, but they laid the groundwork. And now it's her turn to carry that torch. For the first time in a long time, the future feels possible. She's no longer an outsider, no longer a voice in the wilderness. She is a leader, and she has just taken the first step in reshaping a broken system. The world is watching, and this time, it's on her terms. As the cameras fade and the world starts to digest the enormity of what just happened, Crockett stands tall, her resolve unbroken. The victory she fought for is more than just a personal achievement. It's a statement, a message to every person who's been told they don't matter, to every community whose voice has been silenced for too long. The system may be built to protect the powerful, but it is also built to be torn down. And Jasmine Crockett has shown the world how to do it. She knows this moment is bigger than herself. It's about every person who believed change was impossible, who thought that standing up to corruption was a fool's errand. This victory is theirs too. It's a testament to the resilience of the people, to the enduring power of truth and integrity. And now, the fight continues. "Today, we've proven that the truth cannot be silenced," she says, her voice steady as she addresses her growing army of supporters. "But this is just the beginning. If you believe in a fair, just, and transparent system, I need you with me. The work is far from over." She pauses, looking directly into the camera, her eyes fierce with determination. "We've shown that justice isn't a dream. It's a fight, and it's one we can win. But we can't do it alone. I'm asking you to join me. Share this message. Speak out. Be part of the movement for real change. Together, we can rebuild a system that works for all of us, not just the few, but the many. Crockett's voice carries the weight of everything that's come before. She's not just asking for support, she's demanding it. Because the truth, once revealed, is too powerful to ignore. And the fight for justice isn't something you can watch from the sidelines. It's something you have to be a part of. So subscribe, share this message with your friends. Join us and let's make sure this moment isn't just a blip on the radar. Let's make sure this is the beginning of a new era in American politics. One where we stand for truth. One where we stand for justice. One where we stand for the people. She takes a breath, her expression softening just slightly, but still resolute. This is our time, and together we can make sure that what happened today, this victory for the people, is only the beginning. The screen fades to black, but the message remains, echoing in the minds of every person watching.